Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the sixth episode of Capture 3D webinar series called A Digital Transformation of the Medical Industry. I'm very happy to welcome you all here today. I will wait a few seconds to make sure everyone is settled and is ready and good to go. We are very much looking forward to today's session, and I hope you are as well. We'll give just a couple of seconds before we kick off. Again, thank you very much for joining today and waiting. If you are new to our webinars, my name is Sonia Jones and I'm an event manager at Capture 3D. It's an absolute delight to welcome so many of you here today. Today, what we'll be discussing during this webinar is, of course, the important role of medical manufacturing industry and how it requires accurate data for various stages of manufacturing life cycle, from design, quality control, product development to production. Today's webinar welcomes our great experts on our products and applications. So we're going to start off with an information-packed presentation followed by software demonstrations, and we'll move on to the Q&A session where we can answer some of your questions. Before we jump right into the presentation, I'd like to make a quick note for those that are new to our GOM software or need a software refresher course. We host a complimentary virtual GOM Inspect training. It's basically a 3-day course that takes just 2 hours per day, and it's open to everyone. Since last year, we basically trained over 600 users and brought the program back by popular demand this year. So the next one up is scheduled at the end of the month. So if you're interested, please register on our website as the seats are limited. Also, we have been hosting webinars since mid last year, and this is the 6th episode of our webinar series, like I said, and we still have some more exciting and informative industry or process-specific webinars coming up this year. So please look out for our emails and also check us out on our social media. If you'd like to watch our previous webinars, training, tutorials, and such, we have some great digital resources available on our website at capture3d.com. Those digital resources are conveniently located under Knowledge Center blogs. As shown here, we regularly update our digital resources. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our live chat or email us at any time. All right. If you have any questions for our speakers during the presentation, please submit them via the chat or message widget at the bottom of your screens or as indicated by arrows here. We'll address those questions during our Q&A at the end. Please make sure to direct your questions to everyone if you get that option on your WebEx, or else select all participants from the drop-down menu so everyone can see your questions, okay? Without further ado, I'd like to introduce your panelists for today. Again, I'm Sonia Jones, an event manager at Capture 3D. I've been with the company for about 5 years now. As for the speakers, first we have Jeff Bush, who is our sales engineer with 25 years of experience in the manufacturing world. Our second speaker is Garrett Carpenter, who is our lead application engineer. He has a background in mechanical design and is currently doing his master's in engineering administration. Both of our speakers are based out of our North Carolina office, and I'd like to thank you both for being here today and sharing your knowledge with us. With that, I'd like to hand over the mic to our very own Jeff. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sonia, and I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. And this will conclude today's webinar on the medical manufacturing industry. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. It is April Fool's. So really, we're going to start off with an introduction to Capture 3D. From there, dive into what the medical industry looks like in the United States, then address some of the challenges and trends facing U.S. producers. From there, we'll introduce you guys into 3D scanning and give you real-world examples of how you can use dimensional analysis, first article inspection, digital assembly, automated measurement, and trend analysis to boost your inspection capabilities. From there, we will conclude the webinar with a live Q&A. I hope everyone's ready. We've got a lot to cover. Capture 3D got its start as the U.S. source for GOM precision optical metrology products in 1997. Headquartered in California, we also have offices located in Connecticut, Michigan, Washington State, and North Carolina, which is the office Garrett and I are presenting from today. Since '97, we've grown to around 100 team members, with about 65% of them comprising of engineers. Our automation, service, and support teams are conveniently located in our Michigan office. And last, once privately held, GOM became part of the Zeiss Group in 2019. Now that you know a little bit about us, let's start to talk about the medical industry. It's comprised of many sectors, disciplines, and specialties. These range from administrative, compliance, consulting, into production. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on the producers of the goods, or manufacturers. Now, modern medical companies come in all sizes. These start from less than 50 employees up to thousands. They produce goods ranging from simple parts all the way up to very complex devices used for patient treatment or automated surgical devices. Here are some statistics associated with medical manufacturing in the United States. The U.S. is the top producer of innovative and high-tech products. We account for 45% of the world's pharmaceuticals and 40% of the world's medical devices. Interesting thing about that is 80% of these medical device companies consist of fewer than 50 employees. R&D remains a top priority with 7% of expenditures associated to it. The healthcare sector is the fastest growing sector in the United States economy, which this is leading companies to shift away from traditional production processes and into fully automated processes. So let's address some trends. It's no secret the global population is aging. This is driving higher output for medical devices as well as orthopedics. In order to keep up with this demand, companies are changing their organizational structures. As we mentioned before, there's an increase in R&D spending. This is likely due to advances in materials and material science, which has led to more increased use of 3D printing and additive manufacturing techniques. But not all of these trends are associated to production. There's also a shift in marketing to go away from marketing directly to physicians to marketing to the direct consumer. All of these trends that I mentioned have created a unique set of challenges for producers today. We're seeing an increase in make-to-order parts, likely driven by the advances in materials manufacturing and materials science, which also is paired with the need for higher and innovative technologies. We're seeing more competition in both the foreign and domestic marketplace, and there's been a significant amount of mergers, which has really increased the need for fast collaboration between all companies. And challenges lead to innovation. Innovation leads to new or revised technology. So let's define 3 innovations where 3D scanning plays a very active role. The first being digital twin. Hey, open any trade journal and you won't have to look very long to find the term digital twin. The broad use of this term can sometimes lead to confusion. I mean, personally, I've seen it used to describe production processes, maintenance processes, and then of course the way we're going to use it today, which is simply a digital copy of the part you're inspecting. We're going to take a look at additive manufacturing. It's a production method that's been around for quite some time. However, the older machines lacked in material choice, speed, and capability. Today's machines are certainly a far cry from those of old. Today's machines have a much lower cost of entry. They can print a variety of materials, and they can grow parts at about the same pace as traditional production processes, sometimes even quicker. Now, in addition to the matched cycle times, additive processes have really opened up a designer's playbook when it comes to part form and construction. This is due to the fact that they no longer have to design around the restricted capabilities of traditional production methods, like casting, injection molding, or machining. Of all the innovations mentioned, automation has certainly been around the longest. However, it still remains relevant due to the fact that automation technology is always in a constant state of evolution. So how are we going to pair 3D scanning with each one of these innovations? Well, at a high level, the benefits of 3D scanning are quite clear. I mean, you can create a digital representation of a physical object. It's got benefits in all fields ranging from manufacturing, prototyping, quality assurance, forensics, reverse engineering, computational fluid dynamics, finite element analysis, and many more. However, there's a myriad of 3D scanning solutions available, and really understanding which technology is right for each case is quite important. So for many of these applications, blue light scanners make the most sense because they enable precise, accurate, rapid, high-quality 3D scanning workflows that can be automated and scaled to meet the demands of a number of different industries. So like we said earlier, 3D scanning has a home in each one of these different phases of a part as it goes through its production life cycle. You can start in design in CAD, where you can design a part, prototype it, then measure the prototype that you've designed. From there, it can be validated and then taken to first article inspection. Now, it would be really handy if you could inspect a production part using the same piece of equipment you used to measure your first article inspection all the way back to the prototype. With 3D scanning, this is very possible. Assemblies are no problem for 3D scanning, and as a part nears its end of life, you can rest assured that the archived 3D data can stay in your document retention as long as it needs to. So let's take a look at the ATOS process. It really can be broken down into 3 easy steps. First, you have the data collection step, and this is where the shape of the part is realized into its digital twin. From there, we'll move on to the evaluation process, and this is where we bring in the CAD model and align the measured part into a common coordinate system with CAD. Once the 2 objects are aligned in space, we move on to step 3. This is through you can visualize your inspection or output your choice of report format. ATOS software, or ATOS systems rather, come in different shapes and sizes. You can have manual systems, similar to what you see in the upper left-hand corner with a manual scanner on a tripod, or you can start to enter your journey into automation by finding a scan cobot, or go full automation with the ScanBox 4105 or the ScanBox 5108. Now that you've seen the way ATOS systems can be configured, let's first clear up some confusion, and that may lie in this acronym ATOS. ATOS stands for Advanced Topographic Optical Scanner. Okay, so what sets ATOS scanners apart from all the other 3D scanners on the marketplace? Well, triple scan technology, blue light equalization, and self-monitoring technologies really allow GOM to highlight their ability as the most accurate scanner in the world today. So what do all these technical attributes mean to the user? Well, they mean it's not really an ordinary 3D scanner. This is showing it's a precision metrology grade scanning system. Here we're showing an example of a measurement between 2 spheres on a known certified VDI ball bar object. As you can see from the data below, the ATOS Q system using a 350 millimeter measuring volume, and I want you to remember measuring volume, we're going to cover that next. We were able to measure this part within 0.8 of a micron and maintain a 30 sample range of under 3 microns. In the previous slide, I asked you to remember the term measuring volume, and measuring volume is associated with data resolution. And this is one of the key features of most ATOS scanners. They give you the ability to interchange measuring volumes, and this allows the user to adjust data point spacing and data coverage based on the tolerance, surface condition, size of the part, and other specific features associated with your part. So here's an example. Imagine you're a quality inspector and you're charged on measuring very small parts, say surgical instruments. From there, you have to inspect also large parts like plastic trays. You have the ability to interchange your measuring volume. It allows you to use a very small precision volume to capture all the unique detail of the surgical instrument. But in a matter of 15 or 20 minutes, you can change the measuring volume to a larger volume, which will allow you to scan and inspect the plastic tray faster, all while maintaining the same level of accuracy. It is worthy to note that measuring volume size doesn't necessarily correlate to a system's overall accuracy or repeatability. It's rather the ability to get accurate data of complex, free-form surfaces or surfaces that contain small or tight corner radii. This topic is always one that comes up in the chat, so what I'd like you to do is if you have any questions or would like us to expand on this, please add your questions to the chat and we'll go ahead and address them at the end of the webinar. So after we've defined measuring volume, let's go back and visit some other accuracy case studies. In this contest, there were 51 entries, and these ranged of 48 participants from 18 countries. ATOS came out on top, and it was because it was able to measure the part in the shortest amount of time, maintain the accuracy of 10 microns or less, and then also meet the repeatability goal of 5 microns or less. It was a study performed using a semi-automated rotary table paired with an ATOS scanner that had triple scan technology. But what about automated systems? Of course, they're faster, but are they still more accurate? Pairing an ATOS scanner with a robot does not change its accuracy, as it still relies on the system's optics for dimensional data, and at no time does it use the robot's encoders to supplement part measurement. Here's a case study from one of our medical customers, and the objectives for this project were to reduce measurement cycle time, all while maintaining the accuracy that's consistent with their CMM. As you can see from the results, we were able to successfully meet the objectives and replace the CMM as their primary measurement source. Now that we've addressed accuracy, let's get into reporting. When full field reporting is compared to traditional methods, the advantages of full field reporting become quite clear, literally. And this is because full field reporting adds a visual component to the numerical dimensional results. And with the software, we can visualize any type of feature of size measurement, such as absolute distance, regular dimensional checks, or maybe a caliper distance check. When referring to location, all GD&T callouts are possible, like true position, run out, displacement. Maybe you want to see how a particular orientation to CAD influences your part. You can align it globally, you can pick a local region to align, or any of your other traditional alignment methods. Last, form callouts are great for scanners because you can use the full field capability to really project a surface comparison to CAD, or maybe a form change based off of a range of a controlled surface. You can do curve-based inspection, look at flatness, cylindricity, and then profile analysis. In fact, the GOM software has many other capabilities outside of those mentioned previously. Since our time is limited today, we're going to focus on some key outputs that are beneficial to the medical industry. However, if you see one of these that we didn't cover and you'd like to understand more about it, again, don't be afraid. Throw that question in the chat and we'll address it at the end of the webinar. So today we're going to cover 3 areas of focus in the software, and those areas are reporting, digital assembly, and finally, virtual measuring room, which is the automation control center of the software. We will highlight the following outputs for each one of these sections, and for reporting, we're going to show the communication power of a full field dimensional report. This would contain GD&T as well as trend data. Digital assembly will cover the software's power to visualize how assembled parts interact with each other, and the virtual measuring room will introduce you to multi-part inspections and the simplicity of programming all GOM automated systems. Before we get started in the demo, let's take a second to recognize Salon Pharmaceutical as a long-standing ATOS user. Their commitment to 3D scanning technology has provided them with year after year cost savings. And these cost savings are associated with first article inspection, series inspection, their planning and accreditation process, and they use a lot of the functions we're going to address today, such as virtual assembly, 2 and 3D dimensional inspection, reporting, and trend analysis. We want to begin today's demo session. We're going to look at ways to really visualize the inspection process. And in this demo, we'll show the communication power of having a digital twin of your piece part and how valuable that data can be when you're reacting to revisions throughout the prototype process. This will help you speed up your part's time to market. Hey Garrett, do we have the femoral knee ready to show?
Sure thing. I've got it right here. In this project, we'll be looking at a typical inspection program as well as a report output. Let's start by looking at the mesh in its detail. Once again, we can see the density of points as well as the complete coverage of this part. This massive data makes the inspection process very robust and flexible, allowing us to pull dimensions from a part without needing to remeasure. We also have a CAD model available to use for this inspection. Our initial step in setting up this project is to define an alignment between these 2 parts. The ATOS professional software comes standard with a variety of different alignment options. In this case, we'll just use a geometric element alignment. Once these parts are aligned, we can investigate various inspection options. A tangible benefit of CAD versus mesh inspection is that we can visualize the deviation of these two models using various surface comparisons. We can also visualize deviation in 2D measurements using an inspection section. Geometries can be identified, measured, and inspected quickly and easily. After this information has been gathered in your project, you can build a comprehensive report to display the results. This reporting workspace features numerous options to recreate original reports or create existing ones. The presentation mode also demonstrates the ATOS software's ability to act as a viewer for GOM projects. Users can download the free GOM Inspect software and manipulate this data on their own PCs. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, I really think that full field data shows a great way to visualize inspection results and would certainly help going through a design to prototype process. So moving forward, we're going to start looking at multi-part assemblies. And you may wonder if you can use this technology to inspect assemblies, and you can. But what's even better is you can use the software to look at how parts interact with each other. And Garrett's got a really smart demo lined up for this next one. So take it away, Garrett.
Look at the big brain on Jeff. Let's have a look. To do this, I've put together this brain model project. Digital assembly allows us to scan individual components in an assembly and piece them together in a single project so that we can compare each piece to each other to identify fitment and form. A distinct advantage of digital assembly is that we can inspect each of these parts separately or we can inspect how these parts fit to each other. With this surface distance check, we can visualize the fitment between two surfaces. In this case, between the top of the brain itself and the inside of the skull. This process works on any variety of parts in this project. When we visualize all these parts together, we can see how the entire assembly fits. While this visualization is interesting for this model, more functional parts could benefit from digital assembly. An inspector could measure prosthetics to gauge fitment quickly and with less rework. Assembled parts such as inhalers or monitors could be measured and assembled digitally during first article inspection, reducing the number of complete parts needed for validation. This project also highlights useful functions such as material thickness, which allows us to gauge the wall thickness in specified areas, and surface defect mapping, which allows us to identify local deviations to the immediate surrounding area. I hope this project blows your mind, Jeff.
Oh man, mind blown for sure. So staying in line with multi-part inspections, let's see how we can get the most out of our automated system by using our Smart Teach function to really impress all your friends, get optimum throughput, and then also address nesting multiple parts of multiple part numbers. Garrett's got the next one ready to go, so let's show them the Smart Teach function in the VMR software.
Killer idea, Jeff. I'm impressed already. In this project, I have a ScanBox 4105 spec'd with an ATOS Q, and our parts are loaded onto a multi-part fixture. With this unique fixture design, we can mount multiple parts for a comprehensive batch scanning program. Note the variety of part shapes and sizes. Using the VMR to run the ScanBox makes developing measurements and inspection plans a quick and uncomplicated task. Moving the robot is as easy as clicking and dragging. A key feature of the VMR workspace is the Smart Teach function. SmartTeach allows inspectors to create measurement positions automatically based on the inspection plan. This function can take a minute or two, so in the interest of time, I've put together a completed project for us. We can see each of these blue camera positions indicating the various measurement positions generated by the software. SmartTeach also recognizes periphery operations, such as automatically incorporating intermediate positions to avoid collisions, creating efficient movements between positions to optimize scanning time, and automatically updating measurements based on changes to the measurement plan. Here we can see how many positions the software created for us, as well as an estimate for how long this program will take to complete. We'll run through this program to get an understanding of coverage we can expect on the part and see the different robot positions. After the program finishes, the data is processed into a high-quality mesh model, which can then be used in this program for inspection or loaded into a pre-existing inspection template. Utilizing this multi-part fixture in tandem with a scan box allows us to scan, inspect, and report multiple parts at a time, increasing productivity and throughput. Back to you in the newsroom, Jeff.
Awesome job, Garrett. So we've come to the final demo in the set, and this one is going to take us back to where we started, which is in the software. And analyzing and reacting to trends really isn't anything new in industry. I think you'll hear the term analytics mentioned quite a bit these days. But we're thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could show a clear, attention-grabbing visual trend to a part? I think we'll be able to prove that to you, and in this next demo, Garrett's going to show us how we can use trend analysis to monitor current production processes to make sure that you're running at optimum levels.
Right on. I've got a great project to illustrate this. This final project is a showcase of trend analysis in the ATOS software. Trend analysis, also called a stage project, allows us to scan multiple parts in a series and compare them back to each other. We build a trend analysis by first applying all the inspection onto a single part. In our Explorer on the left side of the screen, we can see our CAD model, our mesh model, the alignment between these two models, and then all of our various inspection and dimensional callouts. After we've scanned several additional parts in a series, we can drag and drop these models into our project. I'll just select these and drag them right onto the screen. I'll select New Stage here, and this can take a few minutes because it's essentially reproducing the entire inspection on all of those parts. So I've pulled up this project here with the models already loaded. Along the bottom of the screen, we can see the list of all of our various mesh models. As we cycle through these mesh models, we can see the differences in each part. All of the inspection is applied to each of these subsequent models. In this case, I'll just show some basic dimensional checks. But note how each inspection result changes per part. I'll change the template of these labels so that we can see a graphical representation of how these callouts change from part to part. Notice again that as I cycle through these mesh models, you can see how they change to each other. Additionally, we can visualize the surface deviation changes with a surface comparison. Watch these deviation labels as I cycle through these mesh models. This trend analysis can help with identifying tool wear, monitoring production process control, and helping to conduct preventative maintenance on machines. You can scan a new part and then rescan it over time to see how the part changes. It's also useful for repeatability studies like a gauge R&R. Trend analysis is included in the professional version of the ATOS software. It's easy to use and provides a lot of information for the inspector. I hope these demonstrations were helpful. Why don't you close this out, Jeff?
Thank you so much, Garrett. Great job with all the demos and showing off just some of the capabilities of the software. If there's anything else that interests you in addition to these particular topics we covered today, feel free to reach out at info@capture3d.com and we can get you any other needed reports you may like to see. As the webinar draws to a close, I wanted to give you a quick summary of what we discussed. We started off by defining the medical industry. From there, we addressed some key statistics associated with the medical industry in the United States. From there, we started to introduce non-contact blue light 3D scanning technology. And we wanted to show how it was a high-speed, scalable, and flexible system that produced accurate results, and in addition to those accurate results, full field, high-resolution data. We started our demos off by showing how dimensional analysis could be used to help through the first article inspection phase of a product's journey through its life cycle. From there, we started to look at digital assembly and how digital assemblies can be used throughout the prototype all the way to final assembly process of a part's journey. And from there, we looked at, as the part started to enter production phase, how you could really use automated measurement and inspection to level up your throughput through your quality labs. From there, we addressed trend analysis and how trends could be used to keep your processes running at optimum levels. Blue light 3D scanning technology is certainly not just isolated to the demos we showed you today. We have some examples of other processes that could benefit from using 3D scanning technology. If you have a particular product that you're manufacturing and you're not sure if 3D blue light scanning technology is a fit for you, feel free to either drop it in the chat or shoot us an email at info@capture3d.com, and we'd be happy to address that. I want to thank everybody one final time for attending today's webinar. I also want to thank Garrett for his help with the demos, and a huge thank you to Sonia for putting this entire webinar together. She really did a fantastic job. And now for the Q&A.